All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a little San Francisco Giant video. Pitchers and catchers report to Scottsdale tomorrow. That's right. Giants pitchers and catchers will be working out on the field in Scottsdale on Thursday, which only means one of two things. The season's around the corner, and the Cactus League is even going to be here sooner than that. And Giants, I believe, will be maybe involved in Cactus League games as soon as this weekend. And I can't wait for baseball to return to the radio, though it's been a very underwhelming offseason for the Giants. Let's talk a little bit about some news and notes coming out of Giants camp. First of all, last year the Giants' payroll was $187.3 million. It was 12th in Major League Baseball, despite the fact that they're top 10 in revenue. They don't seem like they're not top 10 they're top 10 in revenue, probably closer to top 5, and yet they're 12th last year in payroll at $187.3 million. They had $421 million last year in revenue. And this year, their payroll sits at $144 million, which is 14th in baseball, $23 million less than last year. This is an ownership group, by the way, and we need to throw this out there because people, have no idea what they're talking about. The Giants owners bought the team for $100 million. Okay? Sounds like a lot of money, $100 million. Today, the current value of the team at the end of last season, according to Forbes magazine, which is an independent arbiter of such things, says the Giants' team value is now $3.7 billion. So the next time you get on social media to apologize for why Farhan and the Giants aren't spending, just realize they bought the team for $100 million in 1992. It's now 2024. It's worth $3.7 billion. So if it was worth $200 million, they would have doubled their investment. $300 million, they would have tripled their investment. It's worth $3.7 billion, and they bought it for $100 million. So once again, don't sit here. Tell me why I piss on these people who come out and say, well, what, you want the Giants to spend money, Krug. Yeah. Yes, I do. Bought it for $100 million. It's currently worth $3.7 billion. They own the ballpark outright. The mortgage on the ballpark has been paid off for over a decade. They own much of the land south of the ballpark. The ancestors and the descendants of these owners are quite simply the richest people in the history of San Francisco. The Giants are the biggest real estate deal in the history of the city of San Francisco. So forgive me if I don't sing along with all these other sycophant Giant fans who are like, you want them to spend money and they don't have a lot of money. You're right. They don't have a lot of money. They're drowning in money. They don't have a lot of prospects. They've got a shit ton of money. $100 million, 1992. It's worth $3.7 billion. So don't tell me about the money that they shouldn't spend because it's not wise. I'm sorry. That falls on deaf ears. All right, let's look at some of the notes around the Giants and where they are. Okay, so their rotation right now, they have Logan Webb, they have Kyle Harrison, who's, second-year player. I really like him, but, second-year player. Jordan Hicks. And after that, there's a lot of question marks in that rotation. Tristan Beck, question mark. Keaton Wynn's having elbow problems from what I'm reading today. According to what I'm reading, Keaton Wynn has been slowed down with elbow problems. So you got Keaton Wynn with elbow problems, Tristan Beck as your 4-5, and then you have three-man rotation of Jordan Hicks, Kyle Harrison, and Logan Webb. And you have Ryan Walker, who could be an opener. And then middle of the season, they're going to get back Robbie Ray and probably Alex Cobb. So I understand why they don't want to necessarily, muddy their rotation with all kinds of veteran bodies because They've got 2 starting pitchers in the middle of the year that they want to plug into the rotation. But let's be completely honest about this. Jordan Hicks is an 8th inning guy. If the Giants are going to really get their money out of Jordan Hicks, he's going to be a reliever. You would think. So in my ideal world, Doval is your 9th inning guy and Jordan Hicks is your 8th inning guy. And then you plug in with Amir Garrett or the Rogers brothers or whoever else you got out in the bullpen. But right now, Jordan Hicks is supposed to be in the rotation. The Giants also have some other young arms: K.Y. Tang, Sean Jelly, Mason Black, Dalton Jeffries, Carson Seymour, Carson Wisenhunt. They've got some other guys, and there's even more beyond the guys I've just named. So they have some young options. But that's not a real solid rotation at all. I mean, Logan Webb and then just question marks. I don't even know if that rotation's as solid as last year's rotation that had Alex Wood. They really, if they can get to the middle of the season and Robbie Ray becomes the Cy Young candidate that he was in years past, or Alex Cobb goes right back and is as good as he was last year at his high point, then maybe the rotation will be all right. But to me, that rotation looks really, really iffy. All right, let's look at the diamond. Bailey's your catcher. They've got Tom Murphy. They've got Sable. They're probably going to trade Joey Bart. At first base, I would go after Cody Bellinger. Why not? You have Lamont Wade and Wilmer Flores. Neither's very good, and Flores is coming off a career year. Tyro's at second. The left side of the infield right now is a crapshoot. It's Luciano and Tyler Fitzgerald at short. It's Casey Schmidt and J.D. Davis at third. I'm comfortable going with Luciano and Schmidt at third, at short and third, respectively. Solaire's your DH. Conforto is in left. Jung-Hoo Lee's in center. Total question mark. We don't know what he's going to be. And then you got Yaz and whoever's left and right. Meckler, Matos, Ramos, Slater. Fill in the blanks in right field. Mike Yastrzemski is their starting right fielder. I mean, that's all you need to know. That's why this team's not very good, because they've got Mike Yastrzemski as their everyday right fielder. Mike Yastrzemski is not an everyday right fielder on a championship caliber team. He's not. And that's not Kruger being overtly negative. That's reality, folks. He would not start in right field on any other team that would go to the playoffs. So they need another outfielder. They need Cody Bellinger, and they need another starter. If I were them, I would go sign a guy like Michael Lorenzen, who's an athletic starter. They need one more starter. They don't need necessarily Blake Snell, though he would be nice. But they need a Michael Lorenzen, and they need Cody Bellinger. If they add Cody Bellinger and Michael Lorenzen, I have a different feeling about the Giants. Okay, some of the notes from early Giants camp. The Giants are, according to reports, nearing a decision with Joey Bart. He's out of options. Unless there's an injury, he's not going to crack the opening day roster. They're going with Patrick Bailey, Tom Murphy, and probably Blake Sable if they go with a third catcher. Sable will probably be headed back to the minor leagues. He was a Rule 5 guy last year, had to stay up. This year he doesn't have to stay up. They can send him down, so he probably will get sent down. And then now Bart's just waiting to see if somebody gets hurt. He's just like an insurance policy. And he spoke to the Chronicle about it. He says, I try not to look out too far ahead. I can only control what I control. Otherwise, you can go off too many places mentally, and that wouldn't put me in the position to be my best. I'm just going to get after it and have fun and have a good spring. So he's in the right frame of mind. Second pick overall in 2018, and he's hit just 219 in his first 503 Major League Baseball plate appearances, and he's struck out way too much, 35.4% strikeout rate. He's not killing it at AAA either. He slashed 274 with a 357 on base at AAA over the last 3 years. Those are decent numbers, but nothing great when you factor in it's the minors. So what's going to happen to him? He doesn't have great advanced metrics. He's got a 28% strikeout rate at the AAA level. That's on the high side. Susan Slusser noted that Bart showed up in camp this year in excellent condition, best shape of his life, all those things that people say in spring training. He was a top 100 prospect once upon a time. I guess there's other teams that want him. Brewers, D-backs, Marlins, Pirates, Rays were listed. Milwaukee has since got Gary Sanchez in the fold, and the Pirates added Yasmani Grandal, so they're probably out. So that leaves Diamondbacks, Marlins, and Rays with interest in Joey Bart. I mean, the Diamondbacks have some young players that are kind of in that same camp that I would take. Like, I really like Pavin Smith. He's a Diamondback. He's a first baseman. I think Pavin Smith would be a fantastic addition. I would trade Joey Bart in a deal if I could get Pavin Smith. I also really like McCarthy, the outfielder that they have that can really run. If you could get those two guys for Joey Bart, I'd do it. Now, there's a chance Joey Bart goes to the desert and gets the power stroke rolling and hits 40 bombs, and you look like an idiot. But I'll take Pavin Smith and McCarthy, the outfielder who can flat out run for the Diamondbacks. I'll say this. I'd take Jazz Chisholm and one of those, Edward Cabrera or somebody like that from the Marlins in a package. I love Jazz Chisholm. He's one of my favorite players to watch. So the other report, Slusser says that Keaton Winn is dealing with some elbow soreness, which is never a good thing on February the 21st. They did an MRI. It didn't reveal any structural damage. Bob Melvin says they're trying to formulate some opinion on where we go. He also dealt with the same elbow soreness last spring. He missed a month of the summer. He went on the injured list when he was in the minors on an assignment. There's no structural damage that can be found. That's a good sign. But, I mean, this is an absolute marathon. And in the warm-up stage of the marathon, your starting pitcher has elbow problems. Not good. Not good at all. As I said about Cobb and Ray, they're going to start the year on the injured list. Cobb's coming back from a hip. Ray's coming back from an elbow. So, it's Logan Webb, Jordan Hicks, Kyle Harrison, Tristan Beck. There you go. There's a non-roster invitee named Spencer Howard. There's Dalton Jeffries, the former Oakland A. We'll see. Will the Giants go sign Blake Snell, Jordan Montgomery, Michael Lorenzen? They're all out there. We'll see if that's going to be possible. I mean, seriously, for as much money as they have to not sign one of those guys in Cody Bellinger, just shows what cheap asses they really are. I mean, seriously. You bought the team for $100 million. It's worth $3.7 billion. You clearly have a thin rotation. You've got Blake Snell, Jordan Montgomery, Michael Lorenzen, and a couple other guys out there, and you're not signing them. You have a totally weak outfield with a KBO center fielder, Conforto, who wasn't very good, Yaz, who's really probably should be retired. That's your starting outfield, and you're not showing more interest in Cody Bellinger. So you see why the Giants. I can't talk about the Giants for more than 5 minutes without just getting overtly, kind of disgusted, because they run a disgusting organization. On one positive note, Slusser says that Bryce Eldridge is not going to be a two-way player. He's just going to be a hitter. Crawford is not going to be a two-way player either. He's just going to be a pitcher. So all their talk about the two-way players, now here we are a year later, Eldridge is only a hitter. Crawford is only a left-handed pitcher. But they like what they've seen from Eldridge, who's 6'7", 230, and he played right field last year. He'll move to first base. Hopefully he'll be the first baseman of the future. So there you have it. That's the status of Giants land right now. They're reporting. In a way, it's exciting because spring is here. In a way, it's nauseating because Farhan's a terrible GM. And I hope for the best, but I mean, seriously, go sign Cody Bellinger. Go sign Michael Lorenzen. Build a baseball team. Stop getting whipped by the Dodgers every year. The Dodgers commandeer this division every single year. There was a time when the Giants at least pretended to compete with the Los Angeles Dodgers. Now it's like the Dodgers are first-class citizens and the Giants are third-class citizens. The Giants aren't even in the running for first or second. They're not catching the Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks are stacked and added more guys this offseason and went to the World Series. So, you know, I mean, the Diamondbacks, the Dodgers in the division. The Giants' best chance is third. Maybe they got a shot at the Padres. Maybe they got a shot at the Rockies. Though I'll say this, I saw a breakdown of all the farm systems in baseball. Of the National League West teams, the Giants had the lowest rated farm system. So you don't have young players at the major league level. You have the lowest rated farm system in the division by an independent arbiter, not me, somebody who's actually truly independent, says the Giants farm system's the worst in the division. You got a general manager with a gigantic boiler who just sits there and plays fantasy football and does terrible sales and talks up a huge game and then delivers TJ Hopkins only to DFA him 6 weeks later. I mean, you know, you can't make this stuff up. So in a way, I'm glad the season's here, but in a way, it just highlights the 49ers have, you know, their success has camouflaged and basically, you know, protected Farhan Zaidi from the verbal lashing that he deserves from the fans and the media. And yet, for whatever reason, Giants fans in huge number are reasonably happy. So, you know what? You deserve what you get. You know what I'm saying? If you're happy about this, you deserve what you get. And the media people who are super happy about this, they just want to sit in the press box, eat free hot dogs, and not ruffle any feathers. I don't care about free hot dogs. I want to see the team win. So that's where I'm at. And why you would talk such a big game about this offseason. We're going after Shohei Ohtani. We offered the same $700 million deal that the Dodgers offered. But then when the smoke clears and it's time to report to camp, oh, yeah, your payroll last year was $187, and this year it's $144. You've cut your payroll by $23 million in an offseason where you said no stone will go unturned, no free agent is too big, no expenditure is too large. And you go from $187.3 million, 12th, to $144 million, 14th, despite having nearly $500 million in expected 2024 revenue. So the Giants, you know, it has to be explained. It almost has to be explained. Somebody has to come to me and explain to me why anybody's optimistic about this. As I said, I like some of the moves they've made. If they get Bellinger, if they go after another starting pitcher, at least they're still not going to win the division, but they're going to have a fighting chance of a wild card. Right now, to me, they look like a 72-win team. A 72-win team where the ownership is filthy rich and they're estimated to make $500 million in revenue. And you wonder why the season ticket base has just fallen through the floorboards. It's an amazing thing. What the Giants have done to their season ticket base in a very short amount of time, borderline criminal. So Farhan, I guess it's on the ownership group. They're the cheap asses. Farhan, though, is the guy who's going to be the punching bag because he's out front. You know, he's the face of this tire fire, and Melvin deserves better. So we'll see what it looks like. But with that being said, Giants baseball is here. All right. Thanks to Pig in a Pickle for being the title sponsor of The Krug Show. Thanks to all of our sponsors, and thanks to all of you guys for supporting The Krug Show on YouTube.